2014 Forrest Wood Cup is going to start in just about, I don't know, 12, 14 hours right over here at Dreer Island Park. We're wrapping up practice videos, and we have a very special guest I'm very excited to have. Davy Hite decided to come join us, and I can't thank you enough, Davy, for driving over here. Everybody's like, Rob, why do you want Davy Hite? He's not in the tournament. And look, he's a former Forrest Wood Cup winner, classic champion. He knows what's at stake here. And not only that, you know a little thing or two about Lake Murray, and so you don't have much skin in the game here. And we've been listening to these guys talk all week long about this, that, weights, and everything. But we know you can probably give us a little bit more of the straight and narrow of what we're going to see here on Lake Murray.
Well, Rob, I do have a lot of time on the water here. This is where I was raised up, and people often ask me, what's your favorite lake? And, you know, the lakes go in cycles, as we were talking earlier, but this is my favorite lake in the country because I learned to bass fish here. And, you know, from what I've heard some other guys, as usual, they're sandbagging a little bit, I think, about what's happening here. You know, we've had some extremely mild weather here in the last few weeks for July, August for South Carolina. So the water temperatures have cooled down a little bit and had quite a bit of rain just in the last few days north of here. And, you know, I live up on the very upper end of Lake Murray now, right up at the river where it comes in from Lake Greenwood. Okay. And I've noticed the last 2 days they've been pushing a lot of water down this way. And, you know, it's not Tennessee River current that you'll really see that flowing around the buoys, but there will be water moving through this lake this week, and it'll make the fishing much better than it would have had it been dry.
Okay. All right. So I'm hearing some guys talk weights being 55, 57 to win. You're thinking higher.
I think it'll be 60 couple. I really do.
Okay.
You know, there will be some 20-pound bags caught.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I've heard everybody's like, 18 probably be the top. You're thinking 20.
Yeah. I mean, last summer I fished a little bit here about this time of year, just a little later, but because things has cooled down, very similar condition, and there's some 20-pound bags caught. I don't think anybody will do that every day, but I think the winner will have to do that at least one day. A 20, 21, 22-pound bag, I definitely think will be done. As far as how or where, which end of the lake, you know, we talked about that just a little bit. I don't think a guy can win this tournament just fishing what we call the herring bite alone. And I don't really think a guy can go up the river and spend the whole time and win this bite just doing that. I do think a combination of the herring fish and some bank fishing, whether it be on the lower end or on the upper end, will be a big key here. Okay. It's just really hard with the limited number of herring type places right now, because most of those herring and those fish that are relating to them are really deep still. You know, they live 100 feet deep in the dead of the summer. They're starting to move up because the conditions have cooled, the days are getting shorter, that sort of thing. So there's a number of places that a guy can go. Can he run them for 4 days and not be fishing behind quite a few guys? I don't think so. So I really think it'll be a combination of some bank fishing, whether it be up the river or on the lower lake, and some offshore, you know, top water herring fishing.
Okay. Now, in terms of the timing of the day, herring fishing more in the morning, then going to the bank in the afternoon, or vice versa? I mean, how do you see, or is it just back and forth, back and forth?
Well, that's something that's really tricky here.
Okay.
The norm would be the herring fish would be early in the morning, and then you have to go get on the bank. But that's not always true here. And I guarantee you, if some guys figured that out, which they probably did here in practice, they didn't tell you about that. Right. It's not always early morning, top water herring fish, and then go to the bank. It can be a mix-up, like say back and forth, or you find actually a key part of the day that's maybe better for the offshore herring fishing that isn't your first hour.
Okay. I always hear about the first hour. What you're saying, especially, I'm guessing, if we get sunny, slicker conditions or maybe a little bit of wind during the middle of the day, some of these fish, herring fish, can fire up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's not what a lot of people think, but that absolutely can happen here.
Okay. All right. In terms of the river, that's been my X factor. You're thinking it'll be hard for a guy to go there and dedicate 4 days to it and come away the winner without getting some of these big herring fish in his bag.
I think so. I think so personally. You know, if a guy fishes both rivers and a lot has found multiple stretches, but you know, a guy that's going to commit to the big or the little Saluda only, and maybe one stretch that's a quarter mile, half mile long, I don't think it can hold up. And, you know, I was raised on that upper end. I've got a lot of experience up there, and it's just, you know, it's just not the population really isn't up there this time of year. In the spring, when those fish are moving up from pre-spawn, sure. But this time of year, it'd be really tough to get on 1 or 2 stretches up there and have enough fish to last for 4 days.
Here's my trick question for you on this lake. I've always wanted to know this. What do you think the herring influence is? Where does it, can you draw a line anywhere up there of where it stops? You know what I'm trying to say? Where those bass in the river, they make a living like normal, like crawfish, brim, all that kind of stuff. These down here living on herring. Where's kind of the dividing line where the herring doesn't influence, or does that even exist?
It has always existed, and that line has moved upstream every year.
Okay.
There again, a lot of people may be unaware of this, but you know, it hasn't been all that long ago. Drury Island area was kind of the stopping point, but now there's blueback herring above both the forks of the river, where both the Big and the Saluda. So actually, there's herring fish up there in both of those rivers. Not all the way up, to my knowledge, okay, but certainly in those rivers.
Okay. So there are herring eaters far up the branches as well.
Absolutely. If those herring migrate up there, those bass are going to find a way to eat them. And you know, that's something that has changed quite a bit through the years, because you know the very lower end was always, you know, where the majority of the herring are, and still the largest population here. But there's some herring, you know, up the lake a lot farther than most people think.
Okay. Last question for you. You see the conditions getting ready to happen on this lake. We got 4 days coming up of pretty much sunny, pretty much no rain, no clouds. Based on that, give us a couple names you would be looking for on this event.
Gosh, that's hard for me to do. You know, these guys that are here are all good fishermen. I think every fisherman here could win this thing. Which guys have a little edge? You know, Anthony Gagliardi is from here, has a lot of experience here. Casey Ashley, when we were here the last time on a Bassmaster event, he won and I finished second. I certainly had my chances, but he won. And those two guys, because I think they probably have the most experience here and could do more, like I'm saying, maybe fish some deep herring fish and also fish on the bank, places that they fish year in and year out and have confidence. It would be hard for me to bet against either one of those two guys.
And they're probably a little bit more in tune with the timing, the tricky timing you were talking about of when those herring fish will fire.
Absolutely. And, you know, over a 4-day event, if you don't have much experience here, you're going to just run out of stuff. And some people spin out when that happens. Some guys don't. You know, obviously, you know, a lot of great fishermen here, like I mentioned this week, and they've earned the right to be here because they're really good. But you know, I know Casey and Anthony have just got a lot of time here on this water, and it'd be hard to bet against either one of those two guys.
Sounds good. Davey, thank you so much for coming and joining us here on the FLWOutdoors.com. That's going to wrap it up from practice. Forrest Wood Cup starts here tomorrow.